Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, depending where you are. I know we have people across all time zones, so thanks a lot for joining, for tuning in. Um, I think we can give a couple more minutes for people to join in, and then we can start with the webinar today. It's really nice to see already some familiar names here from WCS and some other folks, partners. Thanks for joining. And I just wanted to mention that we'll be recording the webinar. And after the webinar, we'll be sharing the recording and then some additional information as well. And then some resources that you can share with others that maybe couldn't attend due to time differences. And also we have a Q&A at the base of your screen. You can see a Q&A feature. So if during the webinar you have any questions or comments that you would like to make, feel free to pop them in the Q&A. And then at the end of the webinar, we can go through the questions and then answer them as we go. But also if you have a general comment that you would like everyone to be able to read, just drop them in the chat, because the Q&A, it's only for hosts and panelists to see, but the chat is open to anyone. So if you have a comment that could be useful, beneficial to the rest of the group, feel free to put in the chat. We also have the raise hand feature, but since I'll be presenting and speaking, it would be hard for me to see anyone raising hands. So I think it would be easier if everyone would just use the Q&A, and then we'll address any comments at the end of the session. And yeah, I think we can start. Thanks again. We're very excited to be releasing the image classification beta version to the world. We already did an internal demonstration to different programs at WCS, and now this is really the official release for everyone. So we're really excited to share this with a much broader group. And yeah, we're gonna start with a bit of an introduction on Mermaid, since we might have some people here that might be new to Mermaid, and then we're gonna dive into the image classification and just show how this is a step forward in Mermaid and how you can use it, how you can integrate into your existing workflows and data, and what we're designing for the future of the image classification and how you can be part of it. So let me start by sharing my screen here. So yeah, welcome everyone again. So we'll be focused on the image classification beta new feature that we just released a couple of months ago. But we're starting by introducing Mermaid to those who are new or not so familiar with Mermaid. It is an initiative of the Wildlife Conservation Society. So it was born, developed from an internal need of standardizing data sets, making data sets cleaner and more easily accessible to be able to get insights from the data, to be able to facilitate reporting across programs for different purposes, different donors. And Mermaid is really the first and only all-encompassing, like end-to-end data platform for monitoring coral reefs that's out there. So it's integrating fish, benthic, bleaching, and habitat surveys. And it's a growing platform, an ongoing platform. So we're constantly adding new features as the image classification, but we're also adding new methods. Soon we'll have also the macroinvertebrates method that will be added. So you're gonna have really a holistic a view of your coral reef in one platform. And Mermaid has become really an integral part of the WCS work on coral reefs. It is now the backbone of the coral reef conservation strategy for 2030. So all the 19 country programs are using MERMAID to help track key metrics for their high integrity climate resilient coral reefs. So with MERMAID, it's very easy to track some of these globally recognized reef health metrics like live hard coral cover, species diversity, and reef fish biomass. But the impact of MERMAID goes really well beyond WCS. Now, 94% of MERMAID users are actually from outside WCS. So we have really a thriving global community of NGOs, research institutes, academics, conservation practitioners, and governmental agencies as well, use MERMAID as their go-to data platform for monitoring coral reefs. So today we have over 2,500 users from almost 200 organizations across the world that are monitoring about 8,000 sites across the world, as you can see on our dashboard image. And with that, we're really improving the data accessibility integration for global reports like the GCRMN report that's coming up next year. So about 50% of the data sets that have been included in the synthetic benthic data set of the GCRMN report came from MERMAID. So this really helps speed up the process of data acquisition and integration significantly. And some regions, they already have all the data in MERMAID in just one platform. So all the data is clean, standardized, and very easy to integrate into the GCRMN data set. So as the technical coordinator of the GCRMN said, integrating a data set from MERMAID is 4 times faster than integrating just a normal data set from a normal repository. So it has really some key benefits in speeding up the whole process. And beyond reporting, we're also helping measure impact of reef positive solutions. So now MERMAID is the tool of choice for monitoring and evaluating the Global Fund for Coral Reefs and its portfolio across the world. So now there is an M&E component in MERMAID projects that GFCR programs can add, and then they can track ecological, social, and financial indicators. So we're also going beyond just ecological data, and we can also track now social and financial data. So really there's basically a tool for everyone, for different needs, for different partners. And whether you're working offline or online, MERMAID can support your work for your entire data pipeline. That is collecting and managing data with the MERMAID Collect, visualize and sharing your reef health metrics for your sites on MERMAID Explore, and then also enabling deeper analysis with the MERMAID R package and the Analysis Hub. And now we're announcing a new feature, which is the first one of a suite of MERMAID AI tools that we hope to release in the future as well. So that is the MERMAID, the image classification beta that is now available to all users directly in the MERMAID Collect app. So this really came from an understanding that photo quadrat data is becoming more and more relevant. More monitoring programs are using the photo quadrat method. And but still we heard from a lot of users that the whole process of annotating images, either manually using the traditional CPC or using a classification model, is very time consuming, because either you have to manually annotate each point of every photo, create your own label set, or you have to train your own model and then still review the classification of that model. And to train the model, you're going to need about 30% of the photos that you have just to train the model, to then start to be able to run your model and start actually classifying and getting data. And that's usually using CoralNet or Reef Cloud. So these existing workflows are very time consuming and can be fragmented across platforms, especially if you, let's say, use MERMAID and you have your fish data, your bleaching data there, but then you have all your photo quadrat data in another platform that you then need to bring into MERMAID. So taking all this into account, we decided to take a different approach to things. And that's why we built this single shared model that's already trained. So it's a generalized model that we developed in partnership with CoralNet using the PySpacer based framework that they have that users use to then create their own models. So we basically train our own model using CoralNet's repository of images and annotations. And that is now directly integrated into a MERMAID Collect. So it's standardized across all users and projects, and you can basically plug and play, like just upload your photos and then you can start using the model. And it also uses a consistent label set using the MERMAID benthic taxonomy. So that it's clean, standardized, validated taxonomy according to WORM's database as well. So you don't have to worry about creating your sets and having to then translate that into like something taxonomically significant. So there's a lot of benefits to that. You know, you can have now all your data combined and standardized in a single platform. It can avoid duplication of data across platforms, especially for those who already use MERMAID for fish or bleaching and benthic data from other methods. It has a much simpler workflow as well than other platforms where you have to train your model, you have to understand about validations, and then start using the model and annotating, confirming with a lot of steps. So it can be quite sometimes cumbersome from some users, especially those that are not so tech savvy and not so used to working with machine learning. And as you're getting your classifications from the model, you're also getting real-time visualization of your benthic percent cover in Collect, and in real time, you can also visualize it in a map in MERMAID Explore. And also you get a very easy download that is instant, and you can access this data for analysis using the R package, the MERMAID R, in the R software. So there's a lot of benefits to using the image classification directly in MERMAID. So what that means to you is that you can basically, from the field, have your photos and upload them directly to MERMAID Collect and start already getting results with a much lower work lift for the observers and data collectors. So I think I'm gonna do a quick demo for you, because I think that's what we're all here for, to actually see the model do some work. So here I'm in the MERMAID Collect app. So this is the interface where you do all your data entry and management in projects. So I'm gonna go into this project here, MERMAID Reef Survey. That's just a demo project we use. Then going to your personal collecting page, this is where you would do your personal data collection. So to start using image classification for photo quadrats, you would add here a sample unit, which basically means adding a quadrat to collect data. And then you select the method from the list of methods we have. So benthic photo quadrat will be the one. And then you have two options here. So before the image classification, you would have to process your photos in another software like CPC or CoralNet, and then manually enter the results here in MERMAID. So now you can still do that workflow if you prefer to use another model in CoralNet, for example, but now you can directly just classify your photos with MERMAID AI. So let's do that. So you'll fill in a form that has some metadata, some protocol specifications, And that is the same for every method that you have in MERMAID. So you will populate the fields based on metadata that you have already added to your project. So for example, sites, you have already all your sites here. Then management, you can also pick a management for that site, the sample date. Then you can go ahead and fill in transect number, depth, then transect length surveyed, quadrat number start, it already by default starts at 1. Quadrat size by default starts at 1 square meter, and then number of quadrats. So I'll be adding 2 photos, so I can put number of quadrats 2. And here there's some optional fields that we don't need to fill in. And then observers, that would be me. And we can go ahead and upload the photos. So to upload the photos, you can choose to either upload photo by photo or upload photos in batches, or all your transect basically. So oftentimes you have 50 photo quadrats in a transect. So you can choose to upload all of them all at once, but it really depends on your internet connection. So if you have a rather slow connection or unstable, you might want to upload photo by photo or smaller groups, smaller batches. So you can see as photos are being uploaded, the model is already processing and classifying, giving an initial classification for you. So here in the observations table, you already get an overview of the benthic attributes that the model has classified, sometimes including the growth form as well for corals. And then it splits the classifications in confirmed and unconfirmed points, as well as unclassified points. So the idea is that even though we do have this model that is doing the work for you, the start of the work for you, you still need to go and confirm all of the 25 points. So we have a fixed number of points that the model classifies that a human still needs to review and then confirm the annotations. So the idea is that all these numbers here will shift to this column at the end, and then you'll have all your points here in the confirmed points column. So yeah, we already got the classification from the model here. And also you already get some insights to your data. So you can see some percentages of the top level benthic groups separated here, depending on what the model already classified. So if we go into the first photo, you have here the review button. So you can click here, or you can also click on the photo to review the model classification and confirm the classifications. So this will open the review window where you have the photo here enlarged for you with all the 25 points in a 5x5 grid. And then you have here on the left the table with all the benthic attributes that the model has classified. So we have 3 categories that you can see at the bottom, the confirmed, unconfirmed, and unclassified. So the unclassified and unconfirmed, it depends on the threshold of confidence. So if the model is 50% or less confident about a prediction, then it will automatically go as unclassified, so it won't give you a label. If it's above 50%, then it will give you a label, but it's still tagged as unconfirmed. So the goal is to have at the end, after you're done reviewing your photo, that you have all the 25 points in solid pink, which means confirmed. So there are several ways that you can work through the photo to review the annotations, the model annotations, and then confirm them. So you can go by group. So here, if you hover and you click, it's going to select all the points for that benthic attribute. So here we have a crop plates or tables. So we can zoom in to double check. That's why it's important as well to have high quality photos. So you can zoom in and you can see better what is that attribute under the point. So here the model is predicting it's a copper plates or tables with 89% confidence. So I would agree with the model with this one, and then just hit confirm. And you can refresh the view. We can go to the next prediction of a cropper. We can also zoom. And then here we see that actually the model didn't quite get it. This one I would classify as Posolopora. So if you don't agree with the model, you want to change for any other reason, the label, you can go here and select attribute. And then here you will see first some attributes based on the list that is already shown here on the left. But maybe you have a new attribute that is not listed yet. So you can always select here. But in this case, we already have Posolopora on the photo that has been classified. So it's already listed here. And I can just select and then confirm this one. Then I can go to the next one that was classified as a cropper. I can zoom in. This one appears to be correct, so I can confirm. So now I see that all the Acropora plates or tables have been confirmed. And then we can move on to the next one. So CCA, crustose coralline algae, that was another prediction of the model. This one does look correct. So we can hit confirm, and we can go to the next one. You can double tap to zoom in really well in the photo. This one also seems like CCA and the model predicted with 91% confidence. So now we see that all the CCA has been confirmed. Then we have hard coral branching. So sometimes the model will give you a top level category for corals. So it will predict as hard coral, and sometimes it will go to genus level. So it really depends on the confidence level of the model. So in here we can have a closer look. So it is a hard coral branching, so you can confirm. Then we can go to the next ones. Here as well, we have a bit of a mix, branching and table. So if you don't agree, you can always, for example, put hard coral, and then you can put here branching or digitate, for example. But this one I think would be more branching, but we already have branching. So you can also just choose hard coral if you don't want to add any growth form. So you can confirm. And then here also the model predicted hard coral, but unfortunately you can see the model is not perfect. It's a beta version. And it really depends on where the photo comes from as well, and on the representation of specific labels in the training data. So here, this one is soft coral. So it predicted as hard coral. So we want to change that. So for that, you go into select new attribute, and you can start typing, and then it will show based on the mermaid taxonomy already some options here, and then you can select the one you want and confirm. So this one is the same. And since we just added soft coral, it will appear here on the list. And then we can do the same for all of these that are part of the soft coral, and then confirm them. There you go. And then there's another one, hard coral branching, which is also in the cropper. We can hit confirm. And then we have all the hard coral branching confirmed. Next will be Posolopora. So we have here what seems to be Posolopora. That's correct. So we can confirm. There's another one here labeled as Posolopora, which is already confirmed. And then here there's another one that we can also confirm. And seems to be one left here to confirm. And then we can zoom in. That is indeed Posolopora. And then now we have all the unclassified points left out that we can take a look. So this one would also be soft coral, and we can confirm. This one would be the acropora. We can confirm this one also the acropora. So one thing to keep in mind is that the model is looking at this entire area of the square. So if you have several attributes in the photo, it's going to look at the dominant one and it's going to assign the label to that one. So sometimes it might cause, if you have to confirm the annotation, it's good to keep that in mind. Also, if you are annotating an unclassified point, you want to make sure that you look at the attribute that is dominating the square. So in this case, it would be the acropora 2. Here would be again an acropora. And then we have one more here. Confirm. So this is one way of confirming points. You can also choose to just go point by point, like from one unconfirmed point to the next one by clicking on the arrow here. And then it will take you to the next unclassified one. So this is a CCA. I would label as CCA, and then we can go to the next one, also CCA, and then confirm. So now you see that we have all the 25 points in pink. So they all have been confirmed and reviewed by a human, and then we can hit save. And we can do this for all the photos that we have uploaded. So for example, we can do this one too quickly. So this one seems to have a good mix of Pocillopora, microalgae, and CCA in pink and purple. So if we start with Pocillopora, for example, we have the Pocillopora points that have been classified by the model highlighted in white. And if we zoom in, they do seem to be all Pocillopora indeed, or at least Pocillopora dominated in the square. So if, for example, you look at all the points and you like what you see, the correction, the predictions of the model, they seem correct, you can go ahead and confirm all the points. So that's also like another way to confirm points in bulk. And for microalgae, we can do the same thing. So we can look at each of the points. We can zoom in. This one also has a lot of microalgae here too, even though there's a bit of CCA in there, but it still classifies microalgae, microalgae 2, this one here as well, and this one too. So they all appear to be correct. So we can also go ahead and confirm all of them. Then we're left with the crystose coralline algae, CCA, which are all these ones here. This one, yeah, it seems to have some CCA covering the algae, although this one would probably do as microalgae too. And then the other ones, they appear quite correct for CCA, so you can go ahead and confirm all of them. And then we have still one unclassified point that we can zoom into the point, so that we also label as CCA. So we can pick from the list here and confirm. So now we have all the 25 points confirmed. You can also use the toggle for label visibility if you want to have a look at all the labels that are present in the photo. You can also toggle the table to hide and just have the view of the photo with the labels, and you can confirm them point by point like this as well. So there's different ways to navigate this window and different workflows to confirm the points, depending on the user's preferred option. So we have some different pathways that you can choose. And then once you have all your points confirmed, save changes, and then we're good. So I'm gonna remove this photo just for the purpose here of saving. So now you can see that we have all the two photos with all the points confirmed. So we have no points in unconfirmed points column. And now we have an updated overview of the data, of the insights. And then we can just hit validate. And it's going to run some built-in validations just to make sure that there are no errors or warnings. So as an example here, it's giving me a warning of duplicate images. So that is because I am collecting in a separate transect the same photos. So this is a good check for you. Sometimes you're working with a lot of different transects and photos, and then Mermaid will capture these errors or potential errors, and it will flag them to you. So you can go and then review all the photos that you have uploaded in this transect and then in another transect, just to make sure that you really don't have duplicates. So in my case, I'm just gonna hit ignore warning because I'm sure I don't have any duplicates or real duplicates. And then I can rerun the validation. So now the validation completed, and I can hit the submit button. So once I have my transect submitted with all my annotations, I can go to the submitted page, and it will be here readily available for me to download the data. So now all the users in the project can view this data, and they can export by method, and it will generate a link that will be sent to your email, and you will be able to open this with Excel and in other analysis softwares that you use. So it's very straightforward, as you can see. Basically, in 5 steps, you can do this workflow. You just have to enable the MERMAID AI for your benthic photo quadrat transect. You upload the photos one by one or as a batch. Then you just let the AI model classify your photos, so process and classify them. And then you go to each of the photos and you review the 25 points. And at the end, you run the validations that Mermaid has to flag any errors and warnings in your data, and you can submit once you pass that validation. And then you'll have your data ready to be downloaded, visualized, and accessed as well using the DR package. So what can this model classify? That's a good question, because it obviously cannot classify all the coral genera. So we made some selections based on model performance and biological relevance as well of some coral genus, coral genera. So right now the model was trained to classify 17 top level benthic categories, and that includes some growth forms for hard coral, and then 38 coral genera. That includes the growth forms for Acropora and Porites. But as you saw in the demo, sometimes the model will give you hard coral as a label, as a prediction, and sometimes it's going to give you the genus. So it depends on the confidence of the model, and the model is not hierarchical yet. Like, it doesn't give you the different labels in a hierarchical level. So the training data that we used to train this model and be able to predict these labels was gathered from CoralNet, from all the public sources available. So we used 326 sources with more than 500,000 images from these public sources. And then based on the combination of the precision and the recall, of the predictions of the model, and which led to the F1 scores, and the biological relevance of the labels. We made a decision on which labels to use. And in an average, we have a pretty good level of precision and recall for the labels and overall F1 scores. So for most of them, we get for most of the coral genera, we get over 50%. So 0.5 for the F1 score. And then obviously some labels or have a lower score because they might be underrepresented in the training data. They might have a lot of variability as well in the training data. So that makes it harder to have a higher precision and recall. But and that's definitely an ongoing process. As we improve the model, we also hope to improve all these F1 scores and the label representation as well. So as we were working to create this single model, we realized that it was really hard to get access to public training data sets that had a significant volume of photos and confirmed annotations. And to build new models, you really need a significant volume of photos with confirmed annotations. So better science, future models, they really rely on this resource that is actually really difficult to find, to get access to. And with that, we designed the image classification to also think of the future and how do we can improve not just the MERMAID model, but also other models for coral reef data applications. So WCS, with a grant from AWS, the Imagine grant, has committed to build a public repository of photos and confirmed annotations that not just MERMAID, but also other platforms like CoralNet and Reef Cloud and other computer vision scientists can use to train and build new models. So the idea is to have a public repository, and it will have the anonymized photos and annotations of the users from MERMAID. So this is really the first open training data set of coral reef image and annotations that will be available out there. So this is really something big that will leverage a lot of new model applications a lot faster than currently. So what does that mean to you is that if you're using MERMAID Collect and you have your photo quadrats that you are uploading to your projects, and then you are confirming your annotations and submitting your transects, all these photos, they are copied and they're stripped of all the metadata. So we remove all the location, the date, the username, the project name as well. So there's no way to relate that photo back to a specific project on MERMAID or to a user or a specific reef site location. And then we store that photo into a public bucket along with the annotations that the user confirmed. But the annotations as well, they don't have any metadata. The only thing that we keep in the annotations is the region of the photos, so we can also help train models based on reef regions. So once we have all these photos and these confirmed annotations all completely anonymized, they go into this bucket that is public, open access, and free for other scientists and including MERMAID to use and improve, optimize models. So the idea is that as you're contributing with your photos, with your confirmed annotations, and also new labels, you can help build new models. So it's really exciting because then you're not just getting your data that you need for your own reporting, for your own work, but you're also helping in a much a very big effort as well to improve models for coral reefs. And for example, if you have a lot of annotations of a label that it's still not included in the model. It's not yet included in the model. This will help us then train that model to include that label, that coral genus, into the set of coral genera that's available. So it's a very collaborative process. So we really hope that by having more users, we can drive this this development a lot further. So the model is definitely in a beta version right now, but as we have more users uploading and confirming annotations, we will be actively training and releasing better models, better versions for all the Mermaid users. So since our release 2 months ago, we already have 2,000 photos uploaded with confirmed annotations from Central Indo-Pacific and Western Indo-Pacific, totaling about 50,000 confirmed annotations, which is quite a good number already for the start. But the more photos we have and more annotations, the faster we can train models on different aspects and release them to the users. So the idea is that over time, we're going to achieve more accurate models, an expanded genus list as well of corals, models that might be tuned to specific reef regions, and also hierarchical classifications based on confidence level. As I explained right now, we don't have this hierarchy, but in the future, we hope that we can implement that so users can see different hierarchical levels of taxonomy in the classifications of the model. And it's important to remind that even though we are uploading these anonymized photos and confirmed annotations to this public bucket, the user's observations, so the raw data and the original photos, they are still securely stored in MERMAID, in the projects and in the database. They are backed up, encrypted, so they're completely protected and secured. And is the user who still holds the control of how to share that data through the project. So the user can still decide whether to make that data private, public, or public summary in the data sharing page of each project. And then by default, only project members can view the project data unless they make the data public summary or public. Otherwise, you can leave the data as private, and then only users that are part of that project will have access to that data and can visualize and download that data. So you can have your data private and still contribute to developing new models, for example, if that's the case for you, if you have some data sensitivity. So once you have your data in MERMAID Collect, you can already see some insights on the reef metrics directly there in the app, but you can also go to the MERMAID Explorer directly from your project, and then you can see your results in real time there with charts and some interactive ways to visualize it, to download it, and to share as well with others. So if we go to MERMAID Explorer, maybe I can go from a project here. So I'm in my projects page. If I go to this project here in Papua New Guinea, who has been using photo quadrat and the image classification, we can click the globe icon here, and that will take us directly to that project data in the dashboard. And you already get some key reef health metrics based on the data that has been entered in the project, and then you can see in different ways. So if you're visualizing your data in Explorer from your project, you're already logged in. So this is a secured, authenticated session. So let's say your data is private, only you with your login can see this data, and no one else can have access to it. So in this project, we have data for hard coral cover, fish biomass, but no data for bleaching or habitat. And there's different ways that you can see the data, like aggregate or time series if you have data over time. In this case, there's just data for this 1 year. But then if we want to go and drill down to the site level, we can click and we can actually see the data for the benthic photo quadrat method that was used using the image classification. And then here we already see the results of that as benthic percent cover per group, per top level group. And as you hover, you get the percentages. So you can also see the percentages here on the legend. And if you want, for example, to include this in your reports, you can simply click here and then download your plot as a PNG, and then you can include this exact same plot in your reports. There's also some information on metadata of the project, also with a suggested citation in case this is public or public summary data and you would like to use in different publications. We always recommend people to give credit, right, to the different data owners. And yeah, so you can already see your data once you have it in MERMAID, collect, then in real time in Explore. You can also download directly from here. You can export data from this project for the benthic photo quadrat method. And we do have a lot of other filters here. So you can really narrow down your search of data. Maybe you're interested in a whole region and not just one specific project. And then you can also choose by method. For example, you could choose just benthic photo quadrat data that is public or public summary, and then you can zoom to the filter data. And just need to remove this one filter. There you go. And now we can see all the data that's available for benthic photo quadrat, public or public summary. So this is data that you can readily export from here. So you can export 425 surveys using the benthic photo quadrat method of different projects around the world. So this is a very easy way to see where there's data, see if the data is public, and then actually get access, get hands on this data for whatever analysis or reporting you need to do. You can also share this view. Maybe you want to share something specific with one of your stakeholders. You can get this URL and then directly share with your stakeholders. So there's different ways to explore, and I would really encourage you to go ahead and explore the vast amount of data that we have available in our dashboard, the MERMAID Explorer. So yeah, as I mentioned, we have aggregated views of hard coral cover, but also time series, as you can see here on the image for benthic percent cover. And you can go all the way to site level and see an aggregation of all the surveys done at that site level. And the same goes for fish, bleaching, and habitat complexity data. So you can have a holistic view of all the monitoring data at different levels, from site all the way to region. And you can get access of this photo quadrat data not just from your project and collect or from Explore, but also if you use R for your analysis, you can quickly access all your data using the MERMAID R package. So that's another way that we made it possible and easy for users to quickly access and filter and analyze their benthic photo quadrat data, along with other data that they might have, like fish or bleaching, or also tap into public data from other MERMAID users. So there's different ways of getting this data, pulling this data using filters. You can choose different levels of aggregation as well, whether it's raw observations or summary level data. And you can quickly integrate that into our workflow for scalable analysis, because the same script that you have for one project can be reusable for another project on Mermaid, since the data is all standardized. And with that, we also announcing the Mermaid Analysis Hub. This is another really, really nice feature that we hope that will be fueled by our community. So this is a library of ready-to-use analysis and reporting templates that are fit to the Mermaid data. So that's the beauty of having the data all standardized. It means that if I create an analysis that works for my data on Mermaid, I can share that. And then you also having data in Mermaid, you can use that same analysis workflow, that same script, tweaking very little things, small things, and then you can quickly get the results using that analysis template. So we have now on a website under resources, the analysis hub. So the idea is that you can browse, you can apply these templates for your data, and also share your own analysis and reporting templates. So you can directly submit them in the hub, and you can browse and get the code that is ready to be applied to your data. So we also encourage everyone to explore, and if you do have data on Mermaid and you run a lot of different analysis that you think would be useful for the community, we really encourage you to go there and submit some of those examples. And we can always help to clean the data, the scripts, and tailor, polish it so we can publish and make it available to the whole community. So yeah, so now like with the image classification, we're really plugging another critical piece for monitoring. So now you can really have everything under one platform. You can manage all your teams, you can manage the projects, the surveys, all in Mermaid. So that includes the benthic with image classification, your fish data, your bleaching surveys. And the good thing is that with the MERMAID AI for your benthic photo quadrat data, you're following the same taxonomic hierarchy that we have for all the other benthic data. You get the same reef health metrics, the same data formats, structure, and the validations. So all your data looks the same as data that you might have previously, and it's clean and ready to be used. So all in all, that just means better standardization and reproducible analysis, as well as you're using this feature across different projects, and just at the end of the day, simpler reporting and sharing with communities and governments and partners all this data that has been turned into insights and information. So here we have the ecosystem of tools that Mermaid has to offer, and inside each of those there's a lot that you can use, that you can explore, and we are here to really help you make the most of these tools. So we really encourage you to explore everything we have, all the resources, but also to get in touch with us, and we can train your team, we can make sure everyone is successful using all these tools that were made to make you successful at the end of the day. So if you want to learn more, if you want to show this to your teams, we do have an extensive documentation on our website for how to use the image classification. So if we go here, I can show quickly under resources, this is the analysis hub that we have, where you can submit your own analysis, and here we already have a few examples of analysis that you can use for your data that's on Mermaid. And for the documentation, we have a specific section on the image classification. But if you're new on Mermaid, you can just start here from the top where your journey begins. And here it explains a bit the different tools that Mermaid offers. and different ways to connect, engage, explore the products, the updates, to learn. And you can also download a quick start guide if you're just like ready to get going and start using Mermaid Collect for your monitoring work. And with that, I'm wrapping up the demonstration of the image classification. I hope that was exciting, insightful, and useful for you and potentially to your team, to your partners. And I open now the floor for questions. Thank you. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So I see we have 13 questions here. I'm going to try to tackle all of them. Let's see, there might be some questions that are similar. So there's one here. If we work with our own benthic taxonomy, is it possible to integrate this into Mermaid? So that's a really good question. So the benthic taxonomy that we have on Mermaid is a standard one that is validated against a WORMS database. So all the taxonomy that's there is the latest taxonomy. So if you're using the authoritative taxonomy that's out there, it's going to be the same that's already on Mermaid. So so you don't need to change anything from from the labels that you use to the labels that we have on Mermaid. Now, if you do have your own set of labels that are more like codes for how you annotate your photos, that you cannot just simply apply to the labels in Mermaid Collect when you're using the image classification, because as I showed, we have a drop down already with the options, and those are the actual scientific valid names. So any sort of code won't be accepted. It needs to be the actual scientifically valid name of that coral genus or that microalgae, for example. So there's here another one. What is the minimum resolution for images to yield acceptable results? So in our documentation, we have a whole section just on how to prepare your photos for using the image classification. And there we do have a set of kind of minimum requirements to make sure that the model can do its work correctly. With a minimum resolution of 12 megapixels, and then the photo dimensions are important as well, 1500 by 1500 pixels. So those are things to keep in mind. Also, make sure you have high quality photos in terms of the visibility, like make sure there's it's not blurred, there's a high contrast, avoid shadows, any obscure benthic features. So that really helps with the end results, with the output that the model is going to give you. So it's important to keep that in mind when you're taking the photos to then process them with the model. Another one is, can you add more than 25 points and randomize the points? So we have come across this question a few times already. So at this stage, the 25 points are fixed in this 5x5 grid, and the users cannot change really that option. And that was made intentionally as well to make the workflow just simpler with less steps, so users don't have to think about making all these choices and just simply focus on reviewing the classifications and confirming the classifications. And it's in this fixed grid 5x5. And this number was not just randomly picked. It was based on the analysis we did with CoralNet photos and number of points that were used to classify the photos. And we found that 25 points is a good number that doesn't over or underestimate the different benthic attributes in that photo. But however, we will improve the models. We will also improve the interface and the different types of settings that the user can do. And it's possible that we might in the future implement a way to randomize the points, or choose more or less points. But as of now, that's not an option. So we do have a fixed grid with 25 points. There's another one here. In the future, does the model could the model be trained to identify down to species level? It's down to species level. It's very, very hard, especially because of the quality of the photos, and you need to have a lot of detail to be able to go down to that resolution of taxonomy. But the more data we have, the more photos of high quality and good confirmed annotation, especially of taxonomic experts that are annotating these photos and really confirming that this is the right species, we can certainly improve the model confidence on classifying coral genera, and then who knows, even species down to species level. And so we don't know what the future holds, right? So it's possible that we could go down to species level and have this a very robust model that could do that and produce a good output with good good F1 scores for that. So another question from Aditya: how much training has the model gone through for ecosystems in the tropical region? So I mentioned that we use 326 public sources from CoralNet. So these sources, they are widely distributed across the world. So it's possible that some regions might have more data in the whole training data set that we have than others. But we try to get a good representation of all the different regions, because the idea was to create this single generalized model that works all across. But it's possible that the model might not work as well for some regions, especially regions that might have a high level of endemism, like the Persian Gulf, for example, than others. But so that's why we really want the most number of users to use this tool, so we can get more photos and confirm annotations from all these different regions, and especially from regions that are often underrepresented, so we can get the model working well for these specific places. So we can help you have a good model that works for your specific region. Okay, we have a lot of different questions here, but we are running out of time. I really wish I could answer all of them. So if I haven't answered your question, please do send me an email, contact@datamermaid.org, and I'll make sure to answer them. I'll also try to reflect them in our follow-up email of the webinar, trying to get some key questions here that might be useful for the broader group, and get them answered to you. There's one question here for what database we use for fish. So for fish, we use the fish base, but also worms for the scientific name. But fish base we use to get our biomass coefficients, to get maximum length of fish. That is also used in the biomass calculation, and also to get the distribution of a specific fish species. So we use the distribution that is on fish base and on worms. So we do an aggregation of those two. So yeah, right now the algorithm is based on the CoralNet database only, and then the next version of the model we will use the MERMAID photos and confirm annotations. So the idea is that over time we're going to have the model being trained and built more on MERMAID data that was submitted by MERMAID users. So that's why we want to really get people using this extensively, so we can get quite a good number of data to then be able to start training and release the new version. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I'm gonna add here to the chat the link to the documentation in case you want to have a look. And documentation. There you go. And also contact email in case you want to share some first impressions, feedback of the model once you start using. As I said, this is only the beta version, and from here now we're just going to keep improving, but we really rely on everyone's feedback. This is very collaborative, very community driven. So we really try to hear as much as possible from our users to be able to improve these tools. So please, any feedback is welcome, good or bad, we want them all. So feel free to share any feedback you have with us in this email, or if you have any questions, or if you want as well to maybe train your team on the tool, we can have an online session, dedicated online session just for your team. We can do some demos, we can do some hands-on practice exercises. So there's different ways that we can make people comfortable using the image classification and other tools as well on Mermaid. So we always welcome you to send us a message, and then we can definitely accommodate any special needs or requests. Abigail Mary, you raised your hand. I don't know if you can unmute yourself, but if you wanna type something in the chat as well, or maybe that was an accident. But anyways, so I think this is it for me. So I'm gonna be wrapping up the webinar, and thank you so much for tuning in from all these different places all over the world. Very exciting to be here and to share this new feature with you. And if you have any questions, again, feel free to send us an email, and I'll try to also provide some answers in the follow-up email with the recording of the Zoom webinar. So thanks again, everyone, and I hope to be in touch and connect with you all separately. Bye.